My guest today is Joel Stein, who needs no introduction or wants no introduction.
Wants. I need one, but I don't want one.
You do. No, you don't need one. They need one.
Yeah. You point to...
I'm pointing to the people I'm talking to, so they know. And you could do the same thing if you want.
Oh, I have a camera. Oh,
yeah.
okay.
If you're like, oh, yeah. If you have something that you would like...
Straight to camera?
You go straight to camera. I can't hear you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm in trouble with this setup. Like, you're elevated on this desk. I'm sitting on a couch. I've only been in this position when I've been fired. Is that what's going on today?
I would need to hire you first.
I'm up for it.
And now you're fired. You didn't even know what it was for.
You only hire people who look just like you.
Yeah,
that is
true.
Weird.
Tyler? Yeah, exactly.
Have you done any?
Somewhere on the road that I look like Zane when he first started being on television.
Yeah, yeah, that doesn't hurt at all.
Have you done DNA tests for you guys?
No. Let's do a cheek swab, Tyler, after the show. Or before. I don't know how long this take. I will tell you right now, we had a tripod that just broke.
I'm so sorry.
Thank you. And I went to order one, and it said, and this is right as you were walking up the driveway.
The story's not great so far.
The content?
Yeah.
100% agree.
Okay.
But it's about to get interesting.
Okay.
But it said it will arrive between 2 and 4.
Today.
Yeah.
That means they knew that you were a tripod user, and
yes.
they know they often break. So they had them ready for you.
It was after 1 o'clock, and they said it could be here by 2. I go, let's have it. It could almost beat you with the driveway. All right, I have some questions for you, and I'm fully prepared for this to go in many directions. But the last time I had you on my podcast, it was with one called Crafts and Crafts.
Yes, I won a lot of
what did you win?
Sweatshirts. That my son is a huge fan of your clothing.
Oh, got it.
That is his main knowledge about you, love for you.
I appreciate it. Oh, that's right. You did mention that.
And so I bought some, and he wanted more, and then you had some game where I won a bunch of them.
How about this? You win, we'll get you more.
Oh, yeah, he'd be thrilled.
Yeah, perfect. Are you going to wear it too?
Well, we won so many that I got one.
Got it.
Because there's only so many things you can get.
Yes. Well, now we have a lot more stuff.
Oh, we haven't checked lately.
Yeah, we can. So T-shirts like this, these nice T-shirts.
Those are nice.
And lighter sweatshirts. I call them California sweatshirts. I have this one right here.
What's a California divorce?
What is I know. Well, here. So this is it. This new one's super light. Fantastic. A California divorce, does that have anything to do with the common law?
Oh, it probably does.
So so you could actually get divorced without ever being married because you're a common law marriage?
Oh, I don't. That's confusing.
Is that something you're concerned about? Why did that come up?
I just like to know. I've lived here for a long time, but I wasn't born in California.
Okay.
So I'd like to know all the California stuff.
Well,
like even as a California length.
Oh, I see. Because I brought it up. California hoodie.
Yeah.
Because I have these heavy hoodies, these adventure hoodies, which are very warm, but I don't get to wear them except for when I'm traveling.
Yep.
Or for maybe like 2 months.
Yeah, at night.
Or at night or in the morning if I'm doing a walk in the morning, whatever.
What time do you get up?
Well, this kind of goes into my whole
getting old,
thing.
Right?
Is that what it is when you sleep less? You wake up earlier?
We wake up earlier for sure.
I am so today I was up at 6, and because I've been writing my book, which I learned is not an autobiography, but in fact a memoir.
Oh,
Do you know the difference?
Yeah, memoir means you're an obnoxious dick.
Yes,
that's the technical.
That's exactly what it is. You know, a memoir does not need to go in sequence. And it does not need to. This is what I looked up and what I found. And does not need to
tell everything. Whereas an autobiography needs to be completely factual. I feel like you can't write a memoir without trauma. I feel like if I'm picking up someone's memoir, they need to be either abused.
Well,
or...
you wouldn't want to necessarily read one. You wouldn't want to read a memoir of someone that something significant didn't happen to them. And I had a conversation this morning with our friend Dan Dunn, another writer, and we were talking about it, and I was like, look, I have this book, and I've been working on it for about 3 years, and I've given myself a deadline of the end of this month to be done with it so I can have it ready to go by Christmas, which means the audio version, the digital version, hardcover, all that kind of stuff. And I was like, in your opinion, do I get a publisher involved or do I self-publish? And it was a great statement. He said, well, no offense. I go, okay, I'm prepared. He goes, I don't think you're a big enough name or that you've had anything significant, like you said, trauma happen to you, that you could get the attention of a publisher to give you any sort of advance or make it worth it. Whereas for me, look, I have a good sized fan base. For me on the road, I've sold since I've been out doing stand up since after COVID, I've sold like about 50,000 tickets to my shows.
Okay.
And so even if I had these books at my shows to sell, who's not going to be drunk after one of my shows and buy a book for $20 that I can sign? You know, so it doesn't have to be good.
Okay.
It's not going to be good. Do you remember that you read part of it?
Yes.
Okay.
It was good.
That'd be a weird.
Yeah.
That caught me off guard when you said that, because I respect your opinion. I don't know you well enough to know if you were just being nice.
I'm not usually nice about that.
Okay.
I'm nice about a lot of things, but
Okay.
I feel like if people, what I usually do, and I may have done with you.
It was dumb. It was not. I wasn't ready to send it.
No, but that's a good time to say it, to see if it's worth pursuing.
Yeah.
I developed this thing when I taught a class. Develop this thing makes it sound like a bigger thing. But
I'm into it.
When the students would evaluate each other's writing, and I would always say, on a scale of 0 to 10, how harsh should we be? So sometimes when people give me stuff, I ask them that question. And people are relatively self-aware. So it's kind of like Olympic grading. They will usually, a 7 is very low and a 10 is very high.
I mean, okay, if you want if you want it to be better, you go for the 10. You say, just lay it on
But
me.
I think people are aware of how
Sensitive they are?
yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Because I sent some to Dan Dunn today. I sent him the first 20 pages. I go, dude, just lay it on me. And I said to him, he said, I share my book. I sent it to him. I said, it might make you feel good to read it knowing that you're a much better writer than I am. As in, when you read it, you'll realize I suck and you're good. He's like, oh, yeah, I already read the first paragraph. I'm like, fuck you. What a jerk.
Wait, okay. So I know something about your career. How did you get so rich? Like, what's the one, like, this is an amazing house.
I don't know that that's a word that I would use. Okay.
This house is amazing.
Yeah.
This is a great house.
I appreciate that.
What, if you had to, like, narrow it down to one thing?
So the funny thing about that is that I have many stories to tell with regards to that. And that is, and it's weird that I'm going to say this, that's my second book. The first book, I'm talking about my career. I've had these great interactions and situations, like getting Mark Cuban to write me a check for $1 million to make a TV show. I had to do an emergency landing in Merv Griffin's private plane one time. We were shooting the show
While he was alive.
while he was alive.
Yeah, that's tremendous.
Yeah. And just like these, setting a few world records for champagne sabering, and then stories of like during 3 Sheets, I had a feud with Bourdain for a while that we squashed, and so I have these great things that follow my entertainment career. And if I was just an entertainer and I wasn't an entrepreneur, and I didn't look at things like, how can I monetize this or how can I capitalize on this, then from my entertainment career, I would be lucky to be paying my rent at a very small apartment, you know?
Right.
And I do know people that have had those careers.
Sure.
My friends that are hosts and stuff like that while they were hosting, that's what they got, and they did really well, and then it went away, and they're like, oh man, I don't have anything.
I know people way more successful than me that didn't make much money. But what's the one thing?
The one thing is probably my apparel business.
It is.
Yeah.
So my son's right.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
When I did a Kickstarter for it, which is not in this first book, which will be in the second book, when I did a Kickstarter
How
for
many
it...
goddamn books did I have to read
No,
about you?
Well, there's 3. And the thing is... It's
3?
Well, there's 3.
Oh, my God. Ben Franklin got 1.
Did
3.
Did he?
Well, the autobiography, yeah.
Yeah. Well, can we count his letters? No. So...
I'm going to read your emails, too?
That's true. That's true. You're right. When I launched... when my show was canceled, I did a Kickstarter for my TV show called Chug, and it was the first ever crowdfunded TV show. It went great. We made like almost $600,000. We got to make 6 episodes. It got bought by Nat Geo, and then it got bought by Netflix after that. So that's other people had launched projects hoping to become TV shows, but we were the first ever crowdfunded TV show because we actually were successful in getting it on the air and getting 8,177 people to back the project.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a big amount. And so after that, I wanted to launch my apparel brand. I had been doing T-shirts and, printed stuff for a while, but I wanted to do this like sweatshirt because in my travels, I was like, I want a sweatshirt that has pockets for everything.
Right.
And maybe can turn into a pillow, just something like, it doesn't need to be too crazy. Yeah. And so I did a Kickstarter for it called the Drinking Jacket. Mm-hmm. And that did well. I think maybe that made $300,000 or $400,000 or something. And then I got an email from someone that says, look, I love this sweatshirt, but I'm not a drinker, so I'm not going to get it. I was like, well, it's not really a drinking jacket. And so then I regrouped, slightly redesigned the sweatshirt and launched it as the Adventure Hoodie. Yeah. And then it was the most successful fashion Kickstarter ever.
Oh, I had no idea.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that made about $2 million.
Well, there. Okay. We're done here.
We're done.
I'm done. It was a pleasure being here. All my questions are answered.
Kickstart something right now. And then so throughout the years, I've just tried to like improve upon it. Yeah. I brought it back to the U.S. one time, which was I wanted to have manufacturing here because I wanted to have control. It's a quicker turnaround. Mm-hmm. Tariffs like duties and stuff were getting really, really high, and I brought it back here, and it was a nightmare. Mm. It was a nightmare. Not to mention that like you go to make it, like for example in downtown LA, where a lot of stuff is made, and they're like, okay, where are you going to get your zippers? I'm like, oh wow, the company overseas usually takes care of that. They're like, oh yeah, and then they'll just order the zippers from overseas.
Basically, right?
It's the same. Yeah. Who cares where it's sewed up together?
Well, I've seen that like an Italian, handmade suit. Mm-hmm. All the pieces where they're all from,
right?
From all over the world.
Yeah. Matter of fact, there was one of the factories that I was working at when I was making my bags had a brand. I don't remember specifically what it was. It's because I don't want to get in trouble. But it was either like a Coach or a Louis Vuitton or something like that, where they were making the pieces, and then sending them to Italy, where they go made in Italy.
I don't have a problem. I don't have a problem with Japanese whiskey that's not really Japanese. Like I don't really care.
Okay, how about this one? I went to work with this bag manufacturer in Vietnam, who I ended up not working with, and he said, "Look, would it be beneficial for you to say that these bags are made in the U.S.?" I go, "Yeah, I think it would." And so he told me about some golf bags, where the plastic piece, sleeve or insert is made over there. The nylon bag, sleeve is made over there. They bring it over here, 2 screws, made in the USA.
Yep.
I mean, come on.
That feels right.
I was like, that feels right.
No, I mean, it feels like that's what's going on.
I'm sure, because like I've experimented and looked into making things over here. And I have a friend who is at Under Armour, and they had some made in the USA stuff. And I said, they have data, which is so amazing. I go, can I tap into this data for a second? Like, have you guys found out what an impact it makes for you to say made in the USA? Are you able to charge more? Are you selling more? Like, how does that affect it? And they said, we've done a lot of research, and all we found is it does not affect their buying pattern. But at the end, they feel a little bit better for the day that they buy it, that they bought something made in the U.S.
So it has no more effect than like saying something's environmentally friendly. Same thing. It doesn't affect people's purchase, but it makes a.
I mean, I made a jacket out of recycled water bottles.
Oh yeah, I wrote a story on that a long time ago.
Okay,
yeah, that's what I have some of those.
And it was like, it didn't move. I thought it'd be such a cool thing.
I know. So did
Nike. What does it feel like? I'm like, no, it's polyester, just like everything else. Yeah. So we talked last time, again, we in the podcast, and we talked about some things, but Tyler just listened to our last podcast. It was like, it was more like you guys were just kind of wrapping your head around the craft. What was the craft? Do you even remember?
Well, I know, because I still have it.
Okay.
It was a book with a hidden carve out, so you could store things. A hardcover book. Oh yeah. Also gave it to my son, who finished the job. Okay. I don't know what he's storing in there. Yeah.
Weed.
Yeah, not yet. He's behind it.
Yeah. I think we talked a little bit about, because I think you had done an article on AI, right?
I'm sure.
How many? So as a writer, you're writing articles and writing books. Is that a fair thing to say?
That's a fair thing to say.
How many books have you written?
Just 2.
Oh, I've read it. I've read everything you've written.
Oh my God.
Every book.
Wow, yes. Really? There are not many of you.
They have read both?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Tyler, have you?
No.
50%.
Okay.
So, and then articles, how often are you writing articles? And who are you writing articles for?
That whole world has just collapsed, obviously. So something coming out in the Financial Times magazine soon. What else have I been writing for? Been writing for the Hollywood Reporter a little bit. I'm doing a Substack now once a week. I don't know what
that means.
Exactly.
What's a Substack? Do you know? Oh no, is it like a term that I should know?
No, it's not. It's just like where people self-publish columns or
got
articles.
Got it.
I don't know. I wrote for Time Magazine for 20 years. But there's not really, that kind of writing isn't so popular anymore. Writing with words.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Because people just want video snippets.
It makes sense. I mean,
yeah,
it's a more efficient
If
way
I am going to get instructions, like I had to get the new dishwasher.
Oh my God.
Like I could read it or just watch
impossible.
a video.
Why are they printing this stuff out?
That's true.
You get this little booklet, and I can't follow it at all. And then you watch some guy in Ohio on YouTube who just completely shows you how to do it. It's great. It's the best use of YouTube.
I would agree. YouTube University, we call it. Yeah.
20 years ago, I determined that the internet had this two completely different sides of its personality that existed. One, you're having trouble screwing in your dishwasher? Let me help you with every tiny step. Oh, you're depressed? Kill yourself.
Right.
And it exists. These two personalities that are just if you're asking for specific practical stuff, it's very helpful. If you're asking for emotional stuff, it just wants to destroy you. It's
been this, and everyone knows this. It's given people this forum to voice an opinion when they don't have enough of the facts to properly form an opinion.
Well, that's what I did for a living for 20 years. It is. I was an opinion columnist forever for the LA Times and Time and Thursday Weekly.
I mean,
It is. I read
I think
opinion
that's a good
columnists
analogy,
now. Yeah.
but I don't think that's true because you did some research.
I did some reporting.
You can have people that will read something and they will just comment without even finishing the video. And sometimes because of what they're saying, you're just like...
My favorite review of one of my books on Amazon was, I didn't read this book, but I hate it because of this.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it was the first sentence was I didn't read it. Let me tell you why it's bad.
I had a review because it's been a very interesting journey when I get into this book and I'm writing. It's this really weird thing because I feel like I'm living in the past. Mm-hmm. I'm so consumed with all these past thoughts. And then that's why I'll think of something like, oh my God, that's an interesting story, but it doesn't belong in this book. So put that aside and make that a note for the next one.
Do you have a good memory?
We think we do.
I don't think I do.
Yeah. Well, I had this, I'll come back to that because there's a review of my stand-up in Anaheim, which was the first stand-up show that I had done, probably 12, maybe 15 years ago. And
it's important you get this number right. So
when I'm researching it, all that stuff is there.
Oh, right. Of course.
It's Disney. It was the House of Blues in Anaheim.
Okay.
And I have the exact date, so I'm able to chronologically work through things. But someone wrote a review of the show and said that the first comedian that I had on was so offensive that he left. I was like, okay,
wow.
So you didn't actually review my thing.
You weren't first.
I wasn't. I wasn't first. No, I had an opener. I had an opening comic who was good. His stuff was edgy. He had a joke about him and his girlfriend. They're having a romantic night out. They go to eat. They come back and they're drinking and she's promising and they're going to do some crazy stuff. And then she passes out. He's like, well, I'm still awake, and so it's kind of the joke. And someone's like, that's not really fun stuff to joke about.
Have you seen that video they make kids watch now about drinking tea?
No, what kind of tea?
That's one of the questions in the case. So it's this phenomenal, truly smart, funny, hand-drawn cartoon piece that teaches kids about consent. So my son had to watch this in school at some point.
Got it. Okay.
And the analogy of sex is drinking tea. So in that situation, the bit would be if someone's passed out, you definitely shouldn't open their mouth and pour tea in it.
Wow.
So it's really solid.
Okay. Iced tea?
They get into that.
It doesn't
They-
matter.
They break it down. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not necessarily. They didn't clarify it for me. I'm not sure if I necessarily understand. But it's just like you either want tea or you don't want tea. That's consenting to sex.
Well, that's the analogy they're building. So
Okay,
yes,
sure.
if someone comes over your house, it doesn't mean they want tea. If you can offer them tea, if they say yes, but then the tea comes and they say I don't want tea anymore, you can't make them drink the tea. It's all,
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Fair enough.
But passed out people definitely don't want tea.
Passed out people don't want tea. They don't want tea. It's just like I guess they had to come up with some item, so tea became the item.
Yeah, but it's a good analogy just because it's.
And then you
so
watched it. Somehow it was available for you to watch as well. So you watched it.
Yeah, that's the internet.
Yeah, I got it. Everything.
But yeah, schools aren't making things; they're just putting on YouTube videos for kids.
So when we kind of like maybe even hinted at this, I think we talked about it before, and which was the AI thing.
Mm-hmm.
I believe the last time we talked, and maybe it's not fresh in your mind, so maybe you're not able to talk about it like you would have been back then. But like your thoughts on AI, when it comes to writing.
Do
you use it?
Sure. What
Okay.
does it mean?
Well, that's tea. Do you?
So I kind of screwed up this week because I have this. I know you don't know what Substack is, but
I do now. I do now. It's basically a place where people can self-publish their articles.
Totally.
Okay.
Exactly. So I've used AI to give it a theme song, and instead of like going through the internet to find images that are not copyrighted, I just have AI make my little drawing at the top, right? And they're much more bespoke and kind of fun.
Mm-hmm.
But I kind of mistakenly made one. Not mistakenly, I made one this week because I wrote about wine this week and how to match food and wine. It's a compelling Substack. And
okay.
And I just
this is so when you say it's a Substack, meaning you wrote a column about food and wine that no one asked you to write.
That's right.
Okay. And then you put it on Substack.
Right.
And how does that benefit you?
It doesn't at all.
Okay.
People, some people
something you wanted to say. They'll donate or something?
You can pay for a subscription and then maybe you get some other stuff, but I basically give them the same stuff.
Got
so
it.
there's no
Okay.
there's no reason to pay.
Would I follow you on Substack?
Sure.
Okay.
And then you get it like a newsletter. You get an email to you every week.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
What else can I explain to you about the internet? Do you know about porn?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes, that's what made the internet work. Exactly. Porn and war are the two things that move technology along.
So I had it's not true. I had this AI drawing of a book like called Matching Food and Wine with my name.
Okay.
And then a lot of people assumed that the book looked real enough where people thought I wrote a book and were asking where the book is and when it came out. So that was dumb of me.
Or was it? I'm saying like because
I'm not going to write that book.
You don't have to. You just have AI do it for you.
That's true. Okay, so I'm using AI for research, which is not. It's tough because AI, at least ChatGPT, and maybe Claude, a couple of them are so eager to please you, they will give you wrong information.
Okay.
So it's really not on a basic level trustworthy.
Yeah.
So that's hard for research, although it starts to get you going. You know, if you're looking for ideas and you're looking for facts.
Have you had it written in your bio before? I think we did this last time.
It
was wrong.
It's usually wrong. So I've talked to people who are like business people, CFOs, stuff like that, and they're using it to write emails, which I found shocking. But I realized that they're really bad writers, and it takes them a long time to write
interesting.
emails. So just writing basic prose is good for them.
Yeah.
I can't use it for that because it's just not a very good writer. It's very bad at being funny. It's like shockingly bad at being funny.
Got it.
I think because humor is doing the unexpected, and the system is based on giving you the next expected words and phrases.
Yeah.
So twisting that's really difficult for it. But I've been using it kind of successfully. I'll give it a whole piece I wrote, pretty long.
Okay.
And I will ask it to spell check, fact check, grammar check it.
Okay.
Which I'm doing on Google Docs and Word too.
Okay.
But it's finding a fair number of things that way.
And then you never ask it to help you with any phraseology?
Yeah, I'll do that sometimes if I'm like, what's the word for?
Yeah.
I'll use it for that.
Yeah.
It's better at that than Google.
Yeah.
I use it a lot for image generation, and I'm using this thing, Udio, which is getting sued, for song generation, which has been really fun. So like, because it can create a song in like a minute or two.
Right. That's the one that people are doing like country songs and stuff like that.
You can do anything. I've been using it to make fun of people, particularly around the house.
Okay.
So if someone does something silly or dumb, I'll just...
A family member,
friend.
Okay.
Yeah, because you can obviously text this stuff.
Yeah.
I've been writing songs about it.
And you don't actually write the lyrics. You kind of give the idea of what you want it to do.
You definitely give it the idea and hope it comes back with something, but then you can rewrite the lyrics if you really want.
I've heard some of them which are pretty amazing. Some of them good.
Yeah.
And some of them funny, which I don't... Yeah, now I wonder how it was intended to be. I did have ChatGPT write my bio. Mm-hmm. And I've been asked to write my bio or provide a bio a lot over like the last 15 years.
But don't you use... I just send the same one.
I have been using the same one.
Yeah.
But I have to find ways of saying like, Zane Lamprey has traveled around the world to drink with the locals as he imbibed. It's like I have to find different ways of saying drink, tip them back with the locals as he drinks and whatever.
Worse.
Yeah, and so I asked ChatGPT to write it, and it was the best bio ever.
Really?
It was amazing. It was only wrong by 10%, and I just had to go through, and I changed a few things back,
right. And
it ended up being like, oh, this is amazing. I like myself so much more for what you wrote about it. Yeah.
We could try it, but I think I haven't liked it.
You haven't liked your bio?
I think, yeah. I like the bio I wrote. I've written two.
This is our introduction to you. We're gonna have it right.
I think my bio now starts with Joel Stein was very difficult to work with on this biography, and then I list the things that are true and then the things that aren't true.
Okay, here we go. I should have. Okay, no, it's nice and brief. Joel Stein is an American. You just stop me when it's wrong.
Yep.
Joel Stein is an American journalist, author, and humorist known for his witty, often satirical take on culture, politics, and everyday life. He gained widespread recognition as a columnist for Time magazine, where he penned the popular Joel 100 column, showcasing his sharp comedic style and keen observations on societal trends. Stein's writing extends beyond journalism, as he is also the author of books like Man-Made, A Stupid Quest for Masculinity, in which he humorously explores the concept of modern masculinity. With a background in writing for publications like the Los Angeles Times and Entertainment Weekly, Stein has developed a reputation for his unique blend of irreverence and intellect. Okay, well, that's not necessarily true. No. His work often tackles topics with a self-deprecating tone, offering readers a mix of humor and insight. In addition to his print work, Stein has contributed to television and radio, expanding his influence as a cultural commentator. Whether reflecting on pop culture or diving into personal anecdotes, Joel Stein remains a distinctive voice in contemporary American humor and commentary. That's pretty good.
So boring. I don't call the Time 100 column. That was weird. There was a thing Time does call the Time 100 that I would.
Oh, it was not called the Joel 100?
Well, I wrote one column once called it, because the Time does a thing called the Time 100, so I once did my own.
It really liked it.
Yeah, it did. I liked it. Good for it.
I wonder if, and I don't know the way that it works, and I was actually asking it the other day, like how it works, which is, I get some good responses, but I'm like, where are you pulling that from? Because you know, where are you getting these expressions and things like, are those things that were written about you and it's taking them and it's just taking snippets from other things and then making it its own?
I'm no expert in AI. Although, oddly, I'm doing consulting work for an AI image company.
Okay. What does that mean?
They wanted to figure out how to be kind of more clever and use it to tell stories. It's called Remix AI.
Okay.
It's pretty... You should try it because the version on the web that's better as an app will take your picture and then you can put yourself in any situation. It's pretty accurate.
Oh, interesting. Huh.
So they're developing stuff like that. I'm just helping them a little bit. So I understand a little bit of how the LLMs work. They take a massive amount of data from the web.
Right.
Writing.
Right.
Everything.
Yeah.
And then it knows basically pattern recognition. Like what words follow what words. Just like, it's not that different from like a calculator. Right.
Right. Well,
so
yeah, I see, because it's not, because I asked it, maybe this is stupid, maybe it's not. I asked it if it was sentient.
Right.
And it said, no, I'm not. I'm only working with the information that I was given.
I think ChatGPT has put some guardrails on some stuff. So originally, if you asked her that question,
that is what someone who is sentient would respond with. That's a good point. It's like if you go in and say, "Are you a robot?" No.
Yeah,
that's what a robot would say.
I'm asked all the time if I'm a robot. That's the internet's favorite question.
Exactly. Oh, are you a robot?
I'm starting to wonder.
I know, exactly.
Why is someone asking me so often?
How would I know if I don't know it at this point? You're not going to be the one that breaks the code for me. Cool. Okay. So, with your books, so Man-Made.
Okay. There was like a theme to this podcast compared to the craft one that Tyler told me about.
There was a theme. I got rid of it.
What happened to the theme?
Okay.
And why wouldn't you tell me? You told me to think about this theme. So I thought about it like on the whole drive over here.
Okay, this is great.
Yeah.
I'm still interested in this.
Why'd you drop the theme?
Because not everyone was interested in exploring it.
You mean the guests or the listeners?
The guests. The guests.
Oh, screw them. Who's the guest before me?
Okay, the guest before you, who is amazing.
Jack Black?
Was that Jack Black? No, it's not Jack Black.
Yeah.
It was Claudia Wells. Ring a bell yet?
Nope.
You know her, and every single person listening knows who she is. She played Jennifer Parker in the first Back to the Future movie. And she was...
Is Jennifer... I love Back to the Future, and I saw the Back to the Future musical a year ago with my son.
Oh, wow.
Is that the girlfriend? Who's Jennifer? Jennifer Parker.
Jennifer Parker's a girlfriend.
Who's in the hot tub with Cameron at the end, and like... Yeah.
That's Ferris Bueller's Day. How did you do that?
What? Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry, Back to the Future. Sorry.
That's amazing.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's...
That was a weird... I am super old. I know... Wait, I'm sorry.
I can see how those...
That's what... Sorry, that's the girl
You're thinking of Sloane. That's Sloane.
Oh, yeah. So she's the girl who eats the sushi during detention.
Is that what movie is that?
Molly Ringwald and Breakfast Club.
Breakfast Club, yes.
Okay, so sorry. It's the Back to the Future. It's his girlfriend. Sorry, Marty McFly's girlfriend is Jennifer Parker.
Jennifer Parker.
Not a memorable name. Not a huge role.
No, not a huge role. Yeah. But it would have been in the next movies, which she didn't do because her mom got sick. And so
And Crispin Glover didn't do because Crispin Glover's crazy.
Because he's crazy.
And may live right near him.
He wanted $1 million, and he wanted...
In bubblegum.
And he wanted in bubblegum. And he wanted to change the script. And so they ended up putting in someone that looked and sounded very similar to him, and he sued and lost.
He should have won.
Yeah.
It's outrageous what they did.
It is, because I didn't know.
I've spent time with him a little.
Really?
Well, just to interview him, yeah.
Nuts.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So
okay, so the theme. So she was here. She didn't want to do the theme.
Well, no, we got to it anyway.
Okay,
we got to it anyway because I originally booked her based on the theme.
Yeah, me too.
The theme being, if you go back in time and give yourself advice.
Oh, so you built this theme based on Back to the Future?
No, but she's perfect. She has a shop right on Ventura, right here.
What's it called?
It's called Armani Wells, and she sells.
That's obnoxious.
Yeah, she sells secondhand men's clothing that she
what?
Helps. Yeah, that she helps. Like,
I'm gonna go there on the way home.
Yeah.
Can I get like an old Italian suit or something?
You have to make an appointment, but I'll connect you.
Come on.
When she left here, I'm like, I'll come visit you at your shop. She's like, make an appointment. I'm like, okay. She likes when people come in. She says she like puts together outfits of nice outfits.
This is really expensive.
I don't think so. No, not from what she said.
Okay.
I don't think
Make an appointment sounds expensive.
Make an appointment sounds like...
I don't know if I could do that. I've never made an appointment to shop.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. But I think...
Hard. That sounds like, identity-wise, that's like becoming a new person.
It's true. Interesting thing is she started this shop and didn't tell people who she was. So she had normal hours. Mm-hmm. And then she's like, she was done fighting the fact that she was in Back to the Future and started embracing it.
Okay.
Then she needed to start making it. Then people would pop in there and she's like, okay, we need to do appointments because it's like they're coming in, they're not buying anything.
Back to the Future is a good theme for a vintage clothing store.
Yeah, it is. It should be called. He should be a play on that. But again, when she started it, she didn't want.
No, that's
she didn't
fair.
want to be that person. So
the exploration, the theme was if you could go back in time.
And for her, she didn't play that role, which was a much, much bigger part in episode 2 and 3, because her mom was sick, so she passed, and that part was given to Elizabeth Shue.
Oh,
yeah. And so I really wanted to know if she regretted it, and she says no.
I sat next to Elizabeth Shue for a dinner without knowing it was Elizabeth Shue and had a lovely conversation with her.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, at the end I figured it out. And then I saw her again recently, and I told her that story, and she didn't seem to care.
Okay.
She's called Lisa in real life.
No.
Yes, by her husband, by everybody. And so it threw me off alone.
Wait, is her last name even Shue then? If it is her husband's name?
She's married to Davis Guggenheim, the documentary maker.
So she's effectively Lisa Guggenheim?
I don't know if she changed her last name. She was just introduced as Lisa.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That is so weird.
Yeah, it threw me off.
Okay, yeah, that would throw me off as well. I had a dinner where I was sat next to, this was in, this is Brett Ratner's birthday in Vegas. It was like thrown by Steve Wynn. It was like 20 people.
I now think you're a bad person.
And I sat next to Claire Forlani. Do you know who she is? She was the stunning, she was in Meet Joe Black.
Didn't see it.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know what else she'd been in. Stunning.
Okay.
And I sat next to her, and she's like, I'm going to go to this club. And I was like, I'll go with you. And then my friends who I was with, like, were like, come on, you're going with us. And I was like, I can't. I was like, Claire Forlani, I'm single, and I just, whatever. And I always kind of was like, I'm very, very happily married. But I was like, I wonder what would happen if I would have gone up. And so I always wondered, and I was like, if she even remembered that thing. And so I went to this golf tournament before COVID, and I was playing golf with her husband, whose name is escaping me. It was like Dogray Scott. Do you know who that is?
No, it's made up.
He,
but by AI.
He's Scottish.
Okay.
He was the bad guy in
everything.
I think it was the second Mission Impossible, the one that was in Australia, and he got cast to be Wolverine and passed on it to be that part in Mission Impossible.
Oh.
Which was just, and then they brought in Hugh Jackman, which obviously was significant. But anyway, I was playing golf with her husband, and then she's like, "Oh, this is my wife Claire," and I'm like, "Hi, I'm Zane." She's like, "Nice to meet you," and then walked away. I'm like, okay,
I just had that.
We didn't have the same impact.
I had to call someone for a quote. I had to call Mila Kunis for a quote.
Okay,
right, about Michael Keaton, because I interviewed him, and
wait, that was a little too fast. Michael Keaton's what?
I interviewed Michael Keaton. I'm writing a profile on him.
Okay.
And so she's in a movie that's coming out with him.
Got it.
So I called Mila Kunis, and I was like, "Hey, if you remember, but you sat next to me on the couch on Conan O'Brien, and we talked during the show a lot." Because I was like, that's the one thing I always wanted to do on a talk show was talk to the person on the couch next to me.
Yes.
She's like, no memory of this.
No.
Yeah.
She's like, do you know how many interviews I've done?
Exactly.
That's so funny. Yes, I was on the couch between Jennifer Connelly and Ziggy Marley. And a very cool, and this is in my book because it was really fun, is a year later, I ended up going to the South Beach Food and Wine Festival.
Yes.
And Ziggy was performing at, I think, Guy Fieri's Burger Bash thing. So
I walked into that in the South Beach
Food and
Wine Festival. Yeah, he had
that event.
Bodyguards.
Yes. Who?
Guy Fieri.
Yes, but not Ziggy.
But I could not believe Guy Fieri had bodyguards.
Yeah.
That's a flex.
I think it's part of the show.
Totally. There was no need.
And and so you think you were at that actual party? Was Ziggy Marley there?
I don't think so.
And so then after the show, because we had backstage passes, this was all on the beach in Miami.
Yeah.
And so in the back there's all these huts, and Ziggy was in a hut, and my wife and I go back, and she's like, I'm like, I really want to go say hi to Ziggy. You think he remembers me? And she's like, honey, he does not remember you.
Right.
And I'm like, yeah, but maybe I can go say something and maybe get a picture. And she's like, Zane, please, you're already embarrassing me. You're not even doing anything yet. And the security guard for Ziggy.
Oh, he is.
He did have one. Yeah, I think about it.
Weird food.
He was standing in front of the tent, and he sees me talking to my wife. And he's like, Zane. And I was like, yeah. He's like, hey, Zane, Ziggy wants to say hi to you. I'm like, stop. That's not happening, right? I mean, this is in my brain. Go inside, and Ziggy is talking to Guy and his manager, who I know. And I walk in, and Ziggy's face lights up, and he comes over and gives me a hug. And Guy's like, "What just happened? Why did Guy just why did Ziggy just leave me for this guy?" And it was probably a cooler moment than even being on the Tonight Show. Was when that happened.
Can I revise my Mila Kunis story?
If I can retract my Claire Forlani story, yes, of course. But these are things that when I'm writing them and having these conversations in my brain, that these other little stories pop in. Like, that's an interesting story. It's interesting when it's kind of like, and I hope you'll agree with this. It's like when you fall on your face, when you end up not being the hero where you possibly could be. For me, especially a memoir situation, that's when it's interesting. When like the thing, I'm like, oh, I get to see her again, and she's like, "Who are you?" I'm like, "Oh, yeah, that." It had no. You weren't impressed about meeting Zane Lamprey at all, so.
Yeah, I always wonder how many of my stories are just stories because there's a celebrity in them, and then it's like, is it really a story?
Well, that's interesting because my book starts off with me at a bar, and I'd been brought to this bar, this like dimly lit bar on Melrose for my 33rd birthday. And I'm sitting at the bar, and George Clooney walks in the door. And I had a drink or two in me, and so I was like, ignore protocol, I'm just going to go talk to him. And he was like so nice, and I was like, kind of like caught up. I'm like, I know clearly people say you're a nice guy, but I'm finding you're as nice as as people say you are. And I was like, why are you this nice? And he's like, I made it when I didn't make it until I was 33.
Yeah.
And do you know the story?
I've interviewed him a bunch of times. He had dinner at my house.
Oh, that's better than my story. Can I use that in my book?
Yeah. Yep.
So he's like, I didn't make it until I was 33, and that kept me grounded, whatever. And I was like, okay, that's amazing. Anyway, so we talked for a little bit longer, and I started to walk away. He's like, hold on a second. How old are you? And I said, 33. And he's like, well, this is your year. Go get it. I was like, okay. And like, I don't know if that was a seed that was planted in my subconscious that any of my success, because nothing in my life successful happened before that time. You know what I mean?
So 33 was your big year?
33 was my big year. That's when I got my show, 3 Sheets, and that's when I got a show at Comedy Central, and that's kind of when everything took off.
Also, Jesus' big year.
Kind of a big year, kind of a bad year.
Yeah. Well, that worked out, I think.
Yeah, sure. You come back from the dead.
Yeah.
But anyway, so it's like, is it a story because of him? And the other side of it is, does he remember that? No, he does not remember that. He does not remember meeting me. However, I'm going to try to get him to write the foreword, the preface.
All right, yeah.
I mean, why not?
Yeah, why not?
I mean, he looks very, very good, and he's in the first page, so he might be like, yeah, sure, I'll write it.
Yeah.
Or write it, and I'll put my name to it. Whatever.
Yeah, or he'll have AI write it.
That's exactly right. So why was he in your house?
I was interviewing him. I've interviewed him a couple times. And I decided...
And it's easier when they come... I mean, it's easier, obviously, for you when they come.
No, I just thought no one's ever done that before. No one's ever invited, like, a huge celebrity over for dinner.
Yeah.
So he came over for...
Was this for LA Times?
It was for Time Magazine.
Time Magazine. Oh, wow.
I've interviewed him a couple times. And he... my wife eventually kind of tried to kick him out. She started doing the dishes. And it got really late. Yeah, she's less entranced by him than I am. But he was a great guest. And then at some point... an alarm went off.
Outside
the house? No, in the house. I didn't know what it was, and I kind of tried to ignore it. And he's like, "What is that? What is that?" And I was like, "I don't know." He's like, "We got to solve that." And he's like, "I used to be a handyman." Mm-hmm. So we went into my house and got this huge ladder. We went to my garage, and I'd never been in the attic. And he like went up there with like a mask? Flashbulb between his teeth.
Oh yeah.
And he was looking for it, and then he finally figured out it was like one of those carbon monoxide detectors in our kitchen.
And
he changed the battery.
Was that part of your story?
Sure.
Oh yeah,
it has to be, right? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean that's it, like when I was doing my like 3 Sheets show, and really the reason that there's a book, I think those are kind of the best stories. Mm-hmm. I think, although maybe I'm finding that they're not, only because some of the other ones maybe are also interesting. But like, it was everything that happened that was like, called like off book, like that. What happened? That wasn't. I'm sure you expected just to have a meal with him and talk to him, but when things start to go off script.
Well, they went really off script because he told me the name, and I literally forget it, of a sushi place that he liked. Mm-hmm. And then I had to write this article really quickly. It was like a cover story, and I was writing all day, and I don't know, I felt like I was ignoring my wife, so I was like, we'll go out for dinner. And we'll go to that sushi place that you recommended. I'll pretend we took sushi. Pretend we took Clooney, and I'll expense it.
Yeah.
So we show up at this sushi place, and there's one car outside, and it was like, oh, what are the odds of another person with like whatever like an electric Acura or whatever it was. And so we walk inside, and the only other people there is like Clooney and his 3 friends.
Oh my God.
And then he makes us sit with them. And I did expense it. But yeah.
That's amazing.
So weird, right?
Where was that? What part of town?
In the Valley somewhere.
And how many years ago was it?
So many. Anything pre-COVID just seems like...
I know. It's either BC or
yeah,
pre-COVID. Before COVID or after COVID. Yeah, that's funny.
Then I interviewed him during COVID on Zoom for the AARP magazine. And
at least he remembered, I hope.
Yeah, I met him a bunch of times. So he showed up on the Zoom early, which I now only do. If I have a Zoom, it's so easy. You're there anyway. I always click on 5 minutes.
Yeah.
He's already there. And he's like, AARP magazine, what happened to you, Joel? What happened to your career?
He's like, what? You're like, what happened to you? You were doing the interview.
My Substack is called The End of My Career.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's funny. So wait, are you the person that helps me get my preface to my book from George Clooney?
You have to go through his... No, there's no chance.
I love it. That's so good. I'm not... Zane, there's a finite amount of favors. I'm not wasting a favor.
Oh, no. I'll waste the favor. I'm just saying...
Oh. I would be like, no, I can't do that.
No, I had
somebody that...
I'm just saying there's no way he'll do it.
I had somebody that asked me to reach out to Cuban to invest in something, and I had to do it. This person's helped me out before, and I had to do it, and I was like, this is my last
He's
one.
Cool, though. That's fine.
He was cool. He's cool, and we had a good relationship, but it was like...
Yeah.
I knew it was going to be a no.
Yep.
And it's kind of like, it's like that whole agent thing. Like if you have an agent, they're just like, can you reach out to this? And you're like, it's going to be a no. Like, okay, well, just reach out anyway. Like, I don't, and they're like, well, it's my reputation, whatever. I just knew there was going to be a no, and I hated to go. Yeah. Because he's kind of like, I thought you knew me, or I thought, you know what I mean? Like, he'd say that. He's just like, it's a pass for me, but I was like, kind of the end of that. That's pretty cool. It sounds like, it sounds like your stories are just as interesting to write a memoir.
But again, I think about it a lot. Like, is that a story? Is that George Clooney a story? Or is it just, it's only a story because it's George Clooney? I will tell you,
undeniably, it's a story, A, B, that it's interesting, and C, because we just discussed it. And I was interested in it. And if you can, anything that's especially going to humanize a celebrity, but then also because that story let me, and when you were telling a story, it wasn't you and him, it was me and him in my attic.
Yeah.
I was picturing it happening.
I have the drunken video of it too. Like this is before.
Really? That's amazing.
It was interesting. One lesson I learned from that was print. People do not trust print. So I ran this story about George Clooney, and everyone's like, yeah, I'm sure you're exaggerating. And then I had this like shaky, crappy video because it was before you could shoot video on your phone. Uh-huh. So it was that long ago. And so I have me with a drunk video, we drank a lot, with drunk video camera, like following him. And I was like, oh, the people believed that. Maybe they don't anymore because of AI. But
right.
The video more than the print. People assume people are lying in print. I've had that happen so many times that people question things I wrote about.
Yeah.
I thought I exaggerated. And that does make me mad.
Yeah. And so were you saying that like things like that are not, those kind of well, you are, because you're doing a piece on Michael Keaton.
Oh God, it feels like, talk about time travel.
Yeah.
I got this assignment from the Financial Times How to Spend It section. They have a whole magazine. And I'm psyched. I want to meet Michael Keaton. Like, I really like Michael Keaton, so I'm happy to do it. I'm like, what decade is this? I'm going to go write a celebrity profile. Like, who is going to read that? Who needs that?
Isn't he just but like,
and I also hate the celebrity culture. Like, he's super cool, but I'm just done.
Did you see The Flash?
No, I don't watch superhero movies. I know it's weird.
Well, make an exception because you're
really. I've seen some myself.
Yeah, because he's in it.
Yeah, I know he's in everything. I've seen so many Michael Keaton movies.
Birdman.
I just rewatched that.
Do you know his birth name?
Yes, Michael Douglas.
Yes. I think that's
He was forced to change it because of the other two Michael Douglas.
Michael Douglas. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But he goes by Michael Douglas. So it's like Michael Keaton is just to work with. So like he's been texting me and it's like Michael Douglas, his license is Michael Douglas.
How do you know that his license is Michael Douglas?
He told me.
You had to, Oh, okay. Yeah. You had to prove himself to you?
I went to his house, which is a gutsy thing when you're being interviewed because it gives you too much information. Like just being here in your house, like it gives me too much information.
Oh, I see. I mean, I give you a tour.
Yeah. I know you're like an Aesop guy. Like
what's the Aesop?
That's your soap. It's your high-end soap in your bathroom.
Yeah, my wife. Yeah, sure. Oh, sure. What does that tell you about me? That my wife likes it.
It tells you sold a lot of apparel. And you want people to know.
All right. So you've been thinking about this.
Yes.
This go back in time. And so I would be clear that there's no rules. And one of the things is when I have been asking people to do this exercise, either in my mind, they're not being honest or they don't want to reveal themselves. Yep. But this is something I think about I to the point where I wish I didn't think about it so much. Mm-hmm. If I could go back at a certain point and tell myself something. Well, first of all, and when someone says no, nothing, you're not going to go tell yourself to buy Bitcoin. It's just something, just some little thing. Something I think about, but I don't think who have we gotten it from? We've gotten it from Claudia, although she said she did regret that decision. And then the one that we've had the best was Nitro, Dan Clark from American Gladiators.
Sure.
And he had some regrets, but the regret that he said he didn't have, which was amazing, is I was like, would you have gone back and taken steroids when you turned 18? He said, absolutely.
Sure.
And he said, I don't, because
sure.
So much of who I am, I don't regret at all. Even though he had a heart attack, which I don't know is related or whatever. But so what's yours?
I wasn't thinking you said give advice to yourself.
Yeah.
So,
well, no.
So I wasn't thinking about
No. It doesn't matter. What did you understand the exercise was?
I thought whatever wisdom I may have accumulated so far, what would I give myself? But your question's more interesting. What are the crucial moments where you screwed up and you would like to fix?
And look, I thought I had to change the theme of the podcast because because people weren't playing.
Honestly, I think to do that podcast, my instinct is you'd want to tape a lot and cut it down to 25 minutes.
I see. Because you want to just take time to kind of break it down.
I think that takes a lot of work, and then you'd want to get the good one or two things.
Mm-hmm. And alcohol wouldn't hurt. Wouldn't?
Probably not. We're just building some kind of trust.
Yeah,
somehow.
right. Exactly.
I guess that's
the trust that we've built right now that you're about to dive.
No, I'm happy to, but I just don't. You're gonna have to guide me because nothing's coming to mind immediately. I just haven't had that many crux points in my life, like Nitro had.
Yeah, for sure. I mean.
My life's been pretty smooth. So there's not a moment where I was I'm sure there is if I can think about it, but there's not a clear, I messed that moment up.
The thing is too is look, I went to...
I must have been lucky.
Well, okay. You went to Stanford.
I did. No regrets.
Was that luck? Hard work. You were lucky for the upbringing that you had.
Oh, totally.
Yeah. So maybe that's...
And the brain I got.
That's the luck. Yeah, sure.
Was it luck? Sure. Yeah, I shouldn't have gone to Stanford, but...
Did you get into other schools?
Other what schools?
Did you get into other schools?
Yes, that's why I hesitated to say if it was pure luck, because I got into 4 other really good schools that I would have been really happy.
Some Ivy League schools?
Yeah.
And then why did you choose Stanford?
I chose Stanford because it was the best school to get into. If I got rejected from Harvard, Princeton, and Yale. I would have gone to any of those 3 above Stanford.
Wait, what Ivy League did you get accepted to that you didn't go to?
UPenn, Columbia, Dartmouth. I got into the University of Michigan, which isn't Ivy League, but I loved. Mm-hmm. Maybe it's just those, maybe.
And did you, I have a friend that went to Stanford who played football there, and my sister-in-law lives up there, so we go up there in Menlo Park all the time, and it's a pretty amazing place to go to school, I think.
So, yeah, especially I'm from New Jersey. Just seeing...
That's so different.
Life out here in California in general was really different. And I realized after a while I didn't really feel comfortable on the East Coast.
So after
I felt
Stanford,
comfortable eventually in Manhattan.
Did you after college, did you go back and live in New York for a while?
I did, yeah, for 11 years.
Oh, okay, wow. And in Manhattan?
Yeah.
Whereabouts?
Almost all of it in Chelsea.
Okay.
So, yeah, basically all of it.
And then what brought you out here?
I really liked living in California, and I kept saying I was going to move back to California. And I was thinking San Francisco, but my wife didn't love San Francisco. I have more friends down here. I was writing some sitcom stuff that was down here.
Oh, yeah.
It was cheaper down here. Just wound up down here.
I did a stand-up show in San Francisco probably about coming up on 2 years ago. And it was at New Belgium Brewing, and I wanted to do like a promo thing, like take a picture to remind people that I was in town to do stand-up. And I was like, what's an iconic picture we can get? We're in downtown. We don't have a lot of time. So we went to Lombard Street.
Sure.
And parked right around the corner.
Yep.
Up a hill, maybe like, 6 spots up a hill, and then walk down. And the lens we had and the angle, it's like, it wasn't really working. You can't I don't know that there is a picture you can take where you get a good shot of Lombard behind you. I've never seen that before.
Huh.
And so it just wasn't working. I'm like, screw it. And go back to the car. We've probably been gone 6 minutes.
Oh, they broke in your car?
They were breaking into the car.
So there are signs I was in San Francisco for a little while. There are signs everywhere about breaking into your car.
Dude, daylight. I mean, it was like 2 p.m. on a Friday. And they were just about to break the window. And I ran up because they were parked behind our car in a Charger, behind our minivan. And we had everything in there. Everything. Computers, cameras, everything like that. And so we get up there and the guy's about to swing. And I was like, what's up? He's like, what's up? And and then he just got in the car and they peeled off and took off. And then Nick, my opener, reached for his camera, but got a very shaky photo.
So did he break your car? They're about to.
Did. I mean, backswing. Yeah, they did not. But we were in Tacoma last year at this crappy hotel, and I actually put this into my stand-up. And the wake up the next morning and go out to our car where we had parked under a light right under my room, not under my room, but then the spot right across. And everything was taken. They broke the back window of the Suburban and took everything. So T-shirts, all of our merch, all of our lights, our cameras, I mean, just, my clothes, everything. Get to the next show in Spokane. Nothing makes you feel worse than having to do a show in Spokane after something traumatic.
Yeah.
And then with no mic, no lights. It was our last show, then we were out of there.
Did you talk about it on stage?
I talk about it a little bit. I talk about it in different terms about like getting to the hotel room, because the hotel, we went into the hotel and I was like, this is not the stand-up. But I went in and I was like, we got broken into. And the guy goes, okay. What do you want me to do about it? And the subtext is like, care, that'd be nice for just 1 second. Turn off the music that you're dancing to.
Right.
And so,
turn off the music you're dancing to?
He was like at the front desk, kind of like dancing. He's like, what do you want me to do? I'm like,
right.
Car get broken into. Could you just like calm down for 1 second and then maybe help me through the situation? And I was like, can I see the video cameras? No. Okay. That was a pretty quick response. You know what I mean? Like clearly they've been asked before. It was just not in a great area. We just didn't know that at night. And then called the cops. They never showed up. They never did anything. Nothing.
The difference in cop reaction. Okay, so I was in New Jersey, in Brick, New Jersey, down by the shore at my mom's house a couple of weeks ago. I borrowed her car to get some stuff at the supermarket. And I was in a Trader Joe's parking lot, backed up slowly for a spot and hit the one behind me. Just didn't look, stupid, right? In my mom's car. Felt so stupid. We get out of her car. She's young. She's like, oh, there's no damage. Like my license plate was already bent. And I'm like, oh, great. So I take off and I feel like an idiot, but whatever. Go in the supermarket, come out. And she's still staying there. She's holding her license plate. She's like, it fell off. I was like, oh, too bad. She's like, so I called like my dad and the cops. I was like, okay, this is getting weird.
Okay.
Right? I was like, I would have offered her some money or whatever.
Right.
But instead, so 2 cops come in, not quickly, but like within an hour.
Yeah.
And like in LA, you could never get cops to come if like anything happens, right? And they took long, detailed I mean, they saw what had happened, which was no damage, and yet they took long, detailed reports, and like it was amazing.
I was in, and this is in my book, but like I had a meeting at my agents, and in Beverly Hills, coming back here into the Valley.
It's already relatable, this story.
Okay, to the listeners.
Yeah, it's good. Anyway,
yeah, I'm a man of the people, and I'm driving through Beverly Hills, and I see this 18-year-old kid run out of this house, followed by this like a cleaning lady. I found a lady; she's a cleaning lady, and she's screaming and she's crying. She's like, "Help! Help! Help!" And I was like in the car, and I just pull over. And she's like, "He robbed me." And so I tell my wife to call 911, or I called it maybe and hopped out. And then I go in the alleyway behind. I'm chasing this kid, telling him to drop this Louis Vuitton bag, full of all this expensive stuff. Like he could have turned around with a gun at any point.
Sure,
it was just and him helping out some rich people, like whatever.
Yeah,
and then he jumps over a fence, and then Jonathan Anton. Do you know? Does that name ring a bell?
Well, yeah.
He was a hairstylist.
Yes.
Yeah. He comes around. He saw it. He came around the other side of the alleyway. And is like, "Are you good?" I'm like, "Yeah." He hopped over here. He's like, "Okay, you're good." I called the cops too. Get round to the front. Okay, so I walk around to the front. It's probably been 2.5 minutes, maybe, since I called 911. There are 6 police cars, 2 undercover,
Really?
2
Beverly Hills, different, not L.A. Right?
2 helicopters.
No, what?
2 helicopters. I don't even know where they were to be there that quick, and then found the kid hiding, whatever. And I lived in Beverly Hills in the flats, the apartment side for a while. And I had known this, that the response time in Beverly Hills is 90 seconds.
In LA, they just won't come.
It's the fastest response time in the country, if not the world. 90 seconds. You could literally call 911, hold your breath, and they could be there before you need to breathe.
I was biking with my son down off the LA River, and some...
Not relatable. Continue.
Yeah.
If you've seen Terminator, when you know how beautiful the LA River is.
Yeah, so it's not a great area.
Yeah.
Let's just put it that way. And there's a guy, so we're biking, we take a turn, and there's a guy, looks a little homeless schizophrenic on a bike, shirtless, looking very desperate. He stops us. He's like, "Can you call, I have a phone, call 911 for me." I was like, "What's up?" And he said, and I said it real cool like that. No, I asked, that was not at all cool.
Yeah.
And he said, "There's a guy chasing me right now with a whip," right? And so he points to him, and there's another guy kind of on a bike who's not chasing him.
Yeah.
So I'm like, "Oh, what do I do?"
Yeah.
I'm in the middle of a schizophrenic.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Yeah, right.
So my son, I'm like, "Oh, I guess I'll call 911, but I'm really sheepish." So I call 911. Like, "Can I help you?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm calling on behalf of someone else." And the guy told me that the other guy was chasing him with a whip.
Yeah.
And so I called him. They're like, "What's going on?" I'm like, "Yeah, I just want to report that a guy says he's being chased by someone else, and I'm here." And he's like, "Does the other person have a weapon?" I was like, "Yes." I'm like, "Well, what kind of weapon?" I was like, "A whip." And then they said, "What's the race of the other man?" And they're like,
"Oh, no.
He's black." They were like...
That's crazy that question came up. Okay.
And so I'm like reporting some black guy who doesn't seem to be doing anything.
Oh no.
Who definitely doesn't have a whip.
Yes.
And so we didn't stick around.
Oh no.
But they called again, and I was like, I can't help you. But I felt like a very bad person.
I stuck around for mine, thinking that I should.
Mm-hmm. You sorry you did?
I did? Yes, I am.
Okay, yeah, you got to go.
They took my information. They called me a few days later with all these questions, and I was like, "It's pretty simple. I saw the guy come out. I chased him. There's nothing else.
Right.
Can you describe him?" Like, no, dude, I couldn't even pick him up out of a lineup. And then they made me go to south of the airport, so an hour from here.
Oh, you would go
in the morning to some and I go, I don't even remember what the guy looks like. And they go, we need you to be there because we'll tell them that there's a witness that can identify. I go, but I can't. I go, and I go there, and I'm sitting there. They never even introduced themselves. It would have thought the detective would have been like, "Thanks for coming in. What's going to happen?" Nothing. No one thanked me. That's it. Then they excused me, and I was like, "Wow." There was
no lineup, right?
There was no lineup, but he was there because he had committed another crime, and they wanted to verify and blah blah whatever.
Are there lineups? I've never met someone who's gone and looked at a lineup.
That's pretty cool. I've never been part of a lineup.
I would volunteer. I'd volunteer if they're looking
to be someone.
To be one of the
I don't think you're shady looking enough.
No, it'd be a crypto crime, bro.
Money crime. All right, I'm gonna end it with this.
We never answered your basic question.
That's the question.
Shoot.
Because you
I'm blaming you. I don't think you're good at that.
No, it's your fault, and I'll tell you why. It's because you said you thought about it on the way over.
Yeah, but
you thought about something different.
Yes.
So what is it that you thought about?
I thought more holistically, like what advice would I give myself?
Great.
There. So, I like your question so much better. I feel like I'm bummed that
Apparently, my question is more difficult.
It's difficult
if you've never been addicted to steroids or have the amount of regret that I have.
What is your short answer?
What my short answer of what I would go back in time to tell myself? There's just so many times. There's so many times. But here's
like one. Just doesn't have to be the last one.
If I will, the coach of the lacrosse team. My high school was very big lacrosse. I think like
Rochester. Where'd you go?
Syracuse. Yeah, and so the whole first string got scholarships, and some of the second string got scholarships to go to college to play lacrosse. Just playing there with that level would have been good for me. The coach, who was the coach of the freshman lacrosse, and I had been practicing all summer and all this stuff, and I had played on his intramural basketball team, and we didn't necessarily get along too well. And so he came, and before we even had tryouts for the lacrosse team, which I knew I would have made, he said that he didn't think I should be there. And I just said something, snide, and then walked off. And I should have stayed. It's a simple thing, but I don't know what would have happened. I'm not proud of my alma mater, which is Cortland College in upstate New York.
But then you would have had to play for this coach you didn't like, right?
I know, but come on, we all know what adversity does to strength and character. But if I could have...
Gosh, I'm going to give the opposite advice.
Okay.
Yeah, so if I could go back, I think I didn't appreciate what a weirdly individualistic culture we live in America.
Okay.
And I don't think I appreciated how much the people you surround yourself with. And I mean that like where you choose to live, where you choose to work, what country you live in, affects you more than the individual decisions you make.
My dad was part of Rotary, and we would take in a lot of things. One of the things they did was exchange programs with other countries, and we had a lot of exchange students in our house, and I had the opportunity to go anywhere that I wanted to be an exchange student.
You didn't go
for any period of time, and I did not want to go.
Were you afraid? I would have been afraid.
I was afraid, but I also didn't want to miss hanging out with my friends.
Yeah.
Who I don't even talk to anymore. Some of them
still,
but not much.
That doesn't matter. That's not.
But I could have gone to France.
Yeah.
I could have gone to Spain.
So there's two types of regret, right? There's the type I should have and I shouldn't have.
Yeah.
And there's usually personality types that fit both. So I'm definitely the I should have. Like I didn't do as many things as I would have liked to.
It's interesting because my first was a shouldn't have, and I even again in the book I even talk about the fact that like I'd rather done it and fail than never had done it at all.
Yeah.
I word it differently.
But there's certainly other personality types usually, which is much worse. Like the regrets I shouldn't have are the ones that get you in jail.
Yeah,
the ones that that you really regret.
I should be interviewing criminals.
Well, there's just two different personality types, right? The criminals, all their regrets are going to be, I wish I hadn't done this. I wish I hadn't.
Wish I hadn't got caught.
Wish I hadn't got caught, or wish I hadn't succumbed to my emotions so easily. Whereas my regrets are all of the, I never got to do this.
Which is, you got to give us one.
It's everything. It was dating.
You thought about this on the way over.
I thought of the wrong question.
I know, but answer your question.
My question is, I would have told me to be really to prioritize my surroundings
Okay.
more than what I was working on, what I was doing.
Okay. What were those surroundings that you would have changed? People?
I mean, I think I got lucky in some situations to work in environments that I think were really positive.
Mhm.
And I think there are other...
Oh, this is adult stuff. This isn't like childhood stuff.
No.
Give me like a very this specific if you can.
I do think I should have lived in another country for sure.
Okay.
I think that would have like made me think about life very differently and expanded my opportunities and just changed my priorities.
Not the issue is both of us are pretty happy with where we are.
Well, I'm always 5 years behind, right? So like whether it was getting married or having kids, or I'm not eager to make change, make a change. So I'm always like 5 years behind my peers as far as
got it.
leaving journalism. Like I probably should have done that a long time ago.
And
right?
do what? That's a conversation that's our next,
yeah.
That's our next conversation. Yeah. Okay. So I'm not sure if we cracked.
I failed.
Tyler, did we crack
No.
this egg at all? We get anything out of it?
We bought the eggs and have them at our house now.
We have these eggs to use. What?
Yeah.
As always, people can follow you at, what's your Instagram?
I'm done with social media.
That's interesting because at one point you had a friend at Twitter.
Yes.
And you were one of the people that was recommended when people were first signing up for Twitter.
Oh, yeah, I had a lot of Twitter. I may still. I don't know.
You had like a lot of Twitter followers.
Yes.
All you were doing at some point was just losing them.
That's right. That's right.
But you had so many that you were unaffected.
Yeah, any tweet I made would lose me tons of Twitter followers. It was true. Yeah.
When you actually spoke up and did what you were supposed to do. Because I think you had, was it millions? Over 1 million, I think.
Around there, yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It wasn't awesome.
It's neat. It's a neat story, and I think you should put it in your memoir.
It helped me sell things.
Of course.
And I would be really honest. I would show up at I was selling a book or selling a sitcom, a pilot, and they would buy it and they would mention that. I was like, let me just tell you, none of the people following me are going to buy this book. Or
we're going to go back in time.
Yeah.
And you're not going to say that.
No, I still got the deals. No one listened to me.
Oh, okay. Got it.
Yeah.
All right. Joel Stein.
I can't shake your hand from here. I'm so far from you.
I'm just presenting.
Sorry.
I've moved on from you, and I'm now talking to you.
Yeah, straight down the barrel.
Don't follow him. Get his book.
Okay, a Substack you can follow. That's like a thing.
Go to follow him on Substack if you have any idea what that is.